You're going to make mistakes. You're going to trip and fall. You're going to have setbacks. You're going to get no's. One of my taglines for my life that I give to you today, if you haven't heard me say it before, is I say this: I've heard no more than I've heard yes, but I don't let it stop me. Right? You're going to get no's. And here's a little one I want you to burn into your brain. If you're working toward a goal, or if you're asking for a promotion, or if you're asking for a job or whatever it is, a contract, I don't know, and you get anything other than a hard no, you're halfway to yes. Oh, if you get a maybe, or, not right now, come talk to me later, man, you're halfway to yes. But even with that, I've heard no a lot, right? If you follow me and you know my life story, I was a convicted felon from 1995 to 2010. And I'm going to tell you, you get a lot of no's. I didn't let it stop me. I'm a person in recovery, and early recovery, I had a lot of it was just, I've heard no a lot. And it can be defeating, it can feel crappy, but I don't let it stop me. So we're talking about the grit advantage. I believe it's an advantage. What I love is Tacoma is where I'm from. I'll always be a city boy at heart, and I'm from the city of Tacoma, and it's known as Grit City. And it's a city that gets a bad rap, but you know what? Tacoma's a great city. Like, I live in central Washington now, and I live in Ellensburg, a great little city. And I think of Yakima. Like, Yakima actually has grit. And some people go, oh, Yakima is terrible. Does it have bad parts? Sure. But it also has good parts. I say this to students. So my day job is a college professor, and I love teaching. But what I really love is mentoring students in all, like I tell students, you can come to my office. Let's talk about the class. If you're struggling, for sure. If you're struggling with your major, if you're struggling because your dog died or your relationships, let's talk, right? I love mentoring students and helping them to get to their goals. And when students come into my office, I share parts of my life with them if I feel it can help them see that they're not alone. Right? I think an aspect of grit is surrounding yourselves with people who are gritty, if I use that term, who, and if your life has been great and you haven't encountered a lot of stumbles, and you've heard yes more than you've heard no, dude, I'm gonna applaud you on. I think that's great. Most people, though, that's not how life goes for them. And when students come to my office and they sit and they struggle, I say, one thing I do is I listen. I'm trying to get to my point here, but I want to say it in the right way because I don't want people to go, oh my gosh. What I say is, I've been through a lot in my life, and I don't want what I've been through for anyone. Like, I've been through some really dark stuff. I've behaved in ways that I would never recommend. I've had things done to me that I'm just like, oh, it's atrocious. I don't want that for anyone. But I do yay, when people trip and fall and they keep going, right? Like, if a student doesn't get the grade they wanted because maybe they didn't study, or maybe the professor was terrible, or whatever it was, and they keep going, man, I'm a champion of that. Let's do that. Right? Any athlete will tell you that they didn't become great in one day. They became great through practice, through tripping and falling, through, listening to their coach, not listening to their coach, and finally listening to their coach, through being a team member after they realized, not being a team member and making it just about me, that was actually terrible, and I need to keep pushing through and be a good team member, right? That's grit. That's a beautiful thing. I say something else to young people when talking about interviewing for jobs. Companies will hire for someone who is willing to work as part of a team, someone they want to work with. This is kind of the saying. If you interview for a job, and usually within a very short period of time, whoever's interviewing can kind of get a sense, yeah, I'd want to work for this person. because you seem, kind or respectful, or you espouse things in your words, how you say you want to be part of the team, you want to help the company move forward. They will hire for that over talent any day of the week. And here's how I describe it. You can have the most technical skills out there. You can be the most proficient, and you can have a candidate who maybe isn't as proficient, but has a can-do positive attitude. Maybe you don't. They're going to hire that person, right? I say that to young people. So talent versus grit, right? Effort matters more than natural ability. I've read some books on, natural ability. Is it natural ability, or was that person in environments where that ability was improved upon or given to in ways that it wasn't for another person? I think about luck, right? Like I used to go, man, I can't get lucky in life. I don't have a good job or a good relationship, and that kind of woe is me, and I just can't get lucky. That person gets lucky. I had to flip the script on that. And I learned this. This is a learned skill. One of my favorite quotes is, you got to put yourself, this is not the exact quote, but in other words, you got to put yourself where luck's going to find you, right? So if you get knocked down, don't stay down. Get back up and get back in the game, right? A sports quote is, if you want to get in the game, you got to go where the game is being played. Just because you get told you don't get on the team right now, does it mean you should just not try again? No, keep practicing. Keep hanging out with people who are in the game, whatever that game is, right? A career path, a positive, healthy lifestyle. Go where that's happening. Take consistent small actions on a daily basis. I employed a morning routine. I started a morning routine now decades ago that gets me up, out of bed, and moving every day. Even after tough days. Even when I may wake up and not want to be gritty. I may not want to work towards something. I have a morning routine every day. I go to bed and I get up at nearly the same time every day. I get up, I open all the blinds and the curtains in the house. And I do that. Why? Not just to let the light in. That's a nice thing. But because I've struggled with the kind of depression that kept me in bed for days on end. So I kept those blinds closed. I open all the blinds and the curtains. I take a couple drinks of that first cup of coffee. I have my clothes on. I get some shoes on. And I go on a morning walk every day. Every day. Because there's some days where I'm like, I don't know if I want to do the day. But by employing that morning routine, which is something really simple and small, that gets me up and gets me going every day. Take small, consistent actions every day toward a goal, toward improving your life, whatever it may be. If you think about that goal you want to get to, all the things that you're going to have to do to get to that goal, that's completely overwhelming. Break it down in chunks. The compound effect of small, consistent actions is a powerful thing, and that's part of grit, right? I can tell you, I laugh, that the journey to becoming Dr. D, I say this, I don't recommend it, right? You may have your views on higher education and all that, and whether it's worth it or not. It was worth it for me, but I remember the journey to that. And you can apply this to many areas of life. Like if you want to lose weight, that can be really difficult. If you want to get into a certain career and you've got to learn skills, or if you need to get into a union or get a degree, whatever it is, right? If you think about that, that can seem really overwhelming. And I remember that I had the goal of becoming Dr. D, and I had done the coursework, right? And once you're done with the coursework, then you get into what's called your dissertation phase. You do research and you You write, and it's like, oh my God, it was like, ooh. I quit. I say this, I quit many times along the way. But what I also did is I didn't stay quit. Why? Because I surrounded myself with people who knew what I really wanted to do, and that was achieve that goal. My wife, my colleagues, my friends at work, my friends in the community that knew where I was going. I'm a pretty public person, right? I put it out there, and it's actually helpful for me to do that. I'm not saying you have to do that, but it was helpful for me. And I remember one time I wrote about how just stuck I was and frustrated I was and how I wanted to quit. And then the next day I went into my office, and there on my desk is sitting a little 3x5 card, and it had two powerful words on it, and it just said, "Don't quit." And a little note on it from my friend that said, in other words, "I believe in you." I kept going, right? I kept going. I kept being gritty. If I look back on my life and I think about my mom, my siblings, and all that we've been through, it's been a lot. If you follow me, you know that journey. If you don't, go back and listen to my podcast that tell the story of my life. Get my book and read it, and you'll be like, wow, we have grit. I don't hope that you go through the same things I went through, right? But we're all going to trip and fall. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to hear no's. But what I would encourage you is to don't let those stop you, right? And how do you build grit? You might be thinking, well, what do you mean grit? How do you build grit? Discipline. That morning routine. That seems really simplistic, but I can't tell you how powerful a tool it has been in ensuring that I get up every day and do things. Being consistent, right? Part of discipline is being consistent, right? Learning to say no to things if you're working toward a goal. It's a term you'll hear me say it many times during any time I'm talking about life goals and working toward things. Delayed gratification, right? I'm going to put off that thing over here because I'm working toward this thing over here. I'll do that later. That delayed gratification. It's a really, really important thing. Reflection. Reflect on your progress, right? Like I say, celebrate the wins along the way. Okay, if you're working toward a health goal, right? I would say if you're losing 50 pounds, I would say every 10 pounds, celebrate that. Celebrate every pound, maybe not in big, huge ways, but maybe every 10 pounds that you lose, celebrate those wins, right? Give yourself credit where credit's due. It's really important to do it. With discipline comes perseverance, right? That stick-to-itiveness. I don't know if that's actually a word or not, but I love saying it. And it's a part of my life. That stick-to-itiveness. That no matter what, I've set this goal for myself, and I'm not going to let anything stop me from getting there. That's a part of grit. There might be walls that come in the way. I might have to go on a different fork in the road to get there, but no matter what, I'm going to get to where I want to go. I want you to think about, you probably have more than you might be giving yourself credit for. As I close this up, I want you to think about your own grit moments where you pushed through, where you persevered, where you kept trying even in spite of the obstacles that you might have known or maybe didn't know at the time that you would be facing. You said, nope, no matter what, I'm going to do this. I want you to consider journaling. You hear me say this. Journaling, and it can be simply sitting down and typing out times where you've walked through hard things, where you've done things that maybe you didn't at first think you could do. That's grit, my friends. And I would say, I would make an educated guess that you're more gritty than you are giving yourself credit for. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Love to all.